Um, hey guys, and today we're going to be doing episode 2 of our Race to Prestige. And today, I want to talk about something. And a lot of people seem to think that guns are not okay. And I'm also going to talk about hunting. Those people that usually say that guns are not okay and think they're all dangerous and that guns kill people. Guns don't kill people.
That's like saying, "Oh no, I got in a car accident, so we'd better take away cars because cars kill people." So yeah, that's what it sounds like.
Someone got shot by a gun. Who knows if it was an accident or on purpose, but
Either way, um,
either way, either way, if it was an accident or on purpose, the gun didn't kill the person. I guess technically the bullet coming out of the gun killed the person, but it had to have been operated by a person. It's not just the gun. And those people that say that probably have never been hunting. This following year, I got my first buck. If those people that don't hunt, that's a deer with horns. And I got two, and there's certain calibers to a gun that you can use while you're hunting. And I use a 243 caliber, and that's a really low caliber, but I only use that because I don't have another gun to use. It was effective, but this year so I usually go with my grandpa, my dad, and my godfather's dad or whatever. And my dad's friend, my godfather's dad, usually goes and sits in a woods over to the side a little bit, and I usually sit in a stand with my dad. But this particular time, my dad was driving the woods. That means he was walking through it, trying to push any deer out. And I was sitting in the stand by myself. My grandpa was on the other side of the farm that we have. And I'm sitting there, and my dad whistles. He's like, "Zach," that's my name. And he was like, "Zach, there's a couple does coming out. Shoot them." And I was like, "All right, I guess I'll shoot them," because I already got a deer that day. I already got an 8-point buck. So I was like, yeah, more meat the better, right? And I had a couple tags left. And so I shoot at these does, and I'm like, out of the corner of my eye, I see a 10-point buck standing on the ridge, like to the right of me, about 400 yards, 500 yards. So I'm like, he's not gonna come this way. So I start shooting at the does, but he does come my way, and I have 2 shots left in my gun. It's a 5-shot. It has 5 available shots in the magazine, I guess. It's a bolt action, so it doesn't really have a magazine, I guess. But I had 5 shots, and I shot 3 at these does. I didn't hit them because I was too worried about the buck. And this buck comes about 300 yards away. 300 yards away from me, and I missed these 2 does. Alright, so my 243, it's not the most powerful gun, so it's hard to shoot a deer at 300 yards with it. So I aim at the buck at behind his shoulder at 300 yards, and I shoot, and it lands really high in front, really low in front. It didn't even move. It was like, yeah, come at me, bro. And I was like, alright. So I adjusted my shot to where I can, where I knew I could, where I thought it could, like, I don't know, like, it was so lucky that, like, it's not gonna happen again. So I made it so the shot, it's hard to explain, like, I didn't really calculate. I just guessed on where the shot would land. So I aimed like 6 feet high and 2 feet in front of the buck, and I hit it right in the neck. And it did kind of like a front flip because it was running. It's a heavy rack deer, but it was the best feeling of my life. It was, well, so far, I guess. It was the best feeling ever. It was my best hunting experience because it was a second buck that day. Second buck that day. I got an 8-pointer earlier that day, and this is a 10-pointer that same day. And I was like, oh my. I stood up in my stand with my rifle in my right hand and my other hand, my left hand up in the air, like, woo, like a silent, like, yes. So I knew I got it. It did like a little front flip. I walked up slow because you never know with deer. I could just stunned it because I didn't have the most powerful rifle. But I was walking down the field, and my dad pops out of the woods chasing a smaller doe out of the woods. And he's like, my dad didn't know I got this deer at this point. So he was like, what are you doing? And I pointed, but the deer's brown, so he couldn't really tell that I was pointing at the deer. So yeah. So I got down to the deer, and I was like so excited. I poked it with my gun first just to see if it was alive or not, and it was dead. I got it mounted. It's sitting in my room right now. It's awesome, and I was so happy. I was standing by my deer. My dad comes up. He's like, "Oh my God, that's huge." That's what she said. But anyways, I was so excited. I went to get it registered because you had to go get it registered in Wisconsin, and I was getting like so many people were like, oh, it's better to be lucky than good, and that's awesome. Like, that's awesome to say. That was episode 2 of Race Prestige. Hope you enjoyed the story, and leave a like and subscribe. See ya.